Hello again, Angry Welshman back again. This will be a short video. I would like to point out also that yes, I tried to do some testing on this microphone and the audio sounds like poop. There's not much I can do about that, I'm afraid. I think it's just this headset that I'm using is quite old, and I do need a new one, and I think I am up for a replacement soon, but I'll probably like to finish university before I start spending some cash. Oh, right. So this is just a quick little video on how the moon and the constellations basically prove that we don't live on a flat earth. And it's just these two completely do it. Now, Jeranism and many other people can use the word refraction as much as they like, but it doesn't explain much of it, if not anything, in many respects. Now this picture here is, I love it. I'm going to start off, because I'm not going to talk about, let's say, the stars much, like when D Marble used to say back in one of his older videos that if the Earth was spinning, why is Polaris in the same place in the sky constantly? And he says the term, why has it been in the same place throughout recorded history? And he got quite heated on that. However, where is he getting his information from? When people say that, where is the information that it's been there throughout of all of recorded history? And then to prove their point about the stars should change and everything, they bring up this little picture. And this winds me up big time, because this was not made by anybody, and this is an over-exaggeration, extremely over-exaggeration of the motions of our solar system. If you want more information on this, go to Bad Astronomy here. And it tells you why he's wrong and how it works and everything that, gives you some explanations on the motions and what is correct through studies, goes through precession and many other things. Alright, so that's about that. So, let's start on the moon. Now, this will also be a little thing that will go against the idea from, there are a small group of flat earthers that also think that the moon is flat and that it also emits its own light, even though you can tell. I'm sorry, but looking at this image right here, how can you possibly suggest in your right mind that it's flat when it clearly is not? It's some amazing sheer coincidence how all of the markings, the dark spots, the craters, the dust streaks, all seem to be put there in such a way just to fool us that it's a globe. It's an astonishing piece of work if that's the bloody case. You know what I mean? Right, so that's one thing. Now let's go on to the other, look, it's not flat. I know I've gone over this before, but let's just reiterate it a bit. You can see that the craters that were once good circles, the closer they get to the edge, are becoming ovals. And you can see the shadows, subsequently telling us that there is a light source and the light source has a direction. There we are, it's a perfect example where if the moon was its own light source, why would there be shadows here? Alright, okay. Now, not even Jeranism believes that the Earth, the moon is flat and that it emits its own light. Not even Jeranism does. It's amazing. We're getting to that sad situation where there are flat earthers out there that make Jeranism sound more intelligent and tolerable. Now, many flat earthers would love to argue that, oh yeah, but we don't have a real map. Bollocks. This is the one, like all the others, you keep on using. So this is the one I'm going to point out. Now, if the moon is, and the sun, as I like to say, but let's concentrate on the moon for now. If the moon is not as far away as they say, okay, then we're into some problems. Now, this you know, like they say, this is for an animation not meant to illustrate the exact movements of the sun and moon. It's for demonstration purposes only. Fine, I get that, okay? I've looked at your disclaimer. However, would any flat earther like to explain to me how everyone sees the same moon phase when the moon sort of comes around to their part of the world? Okay? How they always see the same face, the same moon phase, the lot. That is an impossibility. Now, let's just say that it is just circling above and it's closer than, as they say, as we're being told. Okay? Now, somebody looking at the moon from North America here would see, let's say, a full moon, possibly from their perspective, and if there was an island to this region, so basically in the Pacific Ocean, okay, they would see a new moon. And the people in Alaska, up here, would see a half moon. You see the problem here? These are just little things that I don't think people are thinking through when they say, oh, the moon does this and whatever have you. And it's like when they use videos of the sunrise and sunset. Now it's quite clear that that the camera or video that's supposedly showing the sun changing size is clearly adjusting glare. They are conveniently allowing more glare as the sun gets closer to give that illusion that it's getting bigger, which it just doesn't do that. Okay, but that's not sort of thing. That thing's been talked down to death. You know what I mean? Now, same sort of thing can be said for the constellations. Now, just to get back to this, okay, this is one thing that I always like to bring up, is that there are people who think that this is the model, right? We have a glass dome, that's the firmament. People say it's truth or whatever have you, and yet those people that believe this also bring up the Admiral Byrd story. You know that you went to the South Pole and what you say, and some people think that he found new continents. Well, it's either the South Pole circling like this with a dome, or it's not. Make up your mind. We can't be an infinite plane with more continents out there and a flat Earth with a dome firmament overhead at the same time. It can't be an infinite plane or this at the same time. It's impossible. Make up your minds. I mean, it's just that simple. Just make up your goddamn minds. I mean, their model gets highly convoluted and complicated as time goes on. Even though they have no laws of motion to describe what's keeping the sun and moon up there. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably magic. And they like to ignore gravity like it's, you know, some sort of, you know, when you're in school and you fucking get kids talking about how cool their brother is or their dad is, or you just miss it going, nah, it's all rubbish, it's fake. Well, no, gravity has a lot of factors to it. Right, now, let's go back to my point. Constellations. Again, if the Earth was flat, or any sort of... Now, the laws of motion of this dome would have to be pretty substantial for everything to work the way as we see it. Now, the constellations from horizon to horizon, and when they, you know, other people on the other side of the world see them, does not change size at all. From horizon to horizon, you don't see them get elongated, you know, like with, you know, the circles on the moon here. As they get closer to the edge, they become elongated and become ovals. You don't get that. This doesn't stretch or get smaller as it traverses the sky. It remains the same shape. Just that some of it at one point gets hidden by the horizon. Okay? Now, that is what we see is perfectly explained through the motions of the Earth being a globe. But flat earthers, you write yourself into a hole in the wall. You really do. You back yourself into a wall here, and you just you act like you don't even want to get out of the wall that you've got yourself trapped against. Ignorance is bliss with you people. You claim conspiracy, all schools are the part of the problem. Bollocks. Right? Now the other thing with constellations is that they like to claim, oh, they've been the same throughout recorded history. Oh, have they? Yes, they've been mentioned by name a few times, but there's no accurate depiction, no paintings, no drawings, no illustrations that are 1,000 year or 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 years old that show what they looked like back then. Stars, the constellations back then might have differed in shape by a little bit. I think there is a website that does actually explain how much they might have actually changed by. Now there have been occasionally where they do track stars, and tracking them against the background stars have noted the stars do move. Okay, so stop saying all this crap, that constellations have remained the same and all this kind of idiotic shit that you've grabbed hold of, probably from another flat Earth video, and then you stick with it without thinking. It's like that famous picture that went around a while ago of the pyramids of Giza, and it's got 3 bright stars on it. Now, some flat earthers that give that to me can't even make their minds up on what they are. One flat earther gave that image to me and saying that it was the Orion's belt, and one flat earther gave it to me and told me that it's Venus, Mercury and Mars. Well, it can't be both. And that picture is very fake as well. I mean, come on, please. Have you ever seen anything where those stars are that bright? Let's see if I can bring that up, actually. Stars, Orion belt. Orion belt. Sorry. Stars, pyramids, line up. See now, this claims it's Mercury, Venus and Mars. And this is the actual picture. Now come on, that is not real. This was a very fake image, but again, they love to point this out like it's real. Now, according to time and date websites that like to point this out, at that date, this would have been the actual alignment of the planets at the time. Not that. I mean, see, look, here's another picture. See? Here's the actual thing. This is what the planetary alignments actually would have looked like at that date. See, and there's other sort of depictions of it, and as you can clearly see. Now this one's even got them. This picture's even got them bloody differently shaped. So what? They look like this, or they look like that? Make up your mind. Okay, that's my little rant done for that. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the moon. This is actually probably less to do with the shape of the Earth, but more to do with probably the moon in general. Is that the best thing that's going on at the moment is that it emits its own light, that it's impossible to reflect, right, and that the moonlight is cold. Now, I don't know what they're expecting from it, but everything reflects light in some way. Otherwise we wouldn't see it. It's how light works. Okay? Now, the moon is not made out of glossy plastic. It's not glass. It's not brushed aluminium. It's not going to light up the sky as much as you think it would. And as we've clearly stated from the shadows of the craters, that it's simply not the case that it emits its own light. Basically, it's the biggest thing that's reflecting any sort of light at all, no matter how minuscule it may be. It's the biggest thing around that is reflecting light, so of course you're going to see it. And again, it's reflecting light, but not as much to light up the entire sky. Yes, it gives us enough light for our eyes to pull in, for us to adjust light sources, for us to see. You know what I mean? You know, when you see in the dark, all that kind of things, your eyes sometimes adjust to some sort of light. But the moon's not that bloody bright. I would like to think that if the moon was emitting its own light, that it would actually almost be daylight. Just probably a different shade. You know, more white instead of more yellow. Okay? But this is the kicker with the cold light. Have they ever done anything to... No, actually, let me go back to the point where they point a temperature laser on an object. No, we learned this in school, which is an issue for them because unfortunately that's a part of the problem. Learn in school that shade can sometimes trap heat. Think about it. At night, okay, a cloudy night is sometimes more humid than a starry night because the clouds are trapping the heat. Now, anything that has any sort of shade might trap a little bit more heat than anything. So when they do their little test, they always pick an object that's under a little bit of shade. Now the object is in some sort of shade, regardless of how small. So it could trap a 0.6 of a degree in temperature. That's enough. You know what I mean? That's all their data shows. It's within margin of error. Again, I don't even think Jeranism believes that the moonlight is cold. It's a sad day when there are many flat earthers out there that make Jeranism seem intelligent. Right? But have they ever thought about pointing a thermal camera at it? This is something that I did not even think about up until recently. Now, see, you can clearly tell from this point that the light has a direction. The light that is at 90 degrees, well, pointing straight out the light source, is at its hottest. Then it gradually gets colder as it goes. And here's another example. See, right at the top, it's very cold, but then when it gets to the edges, it gets very cold indeed. This bit, what it is, the temperature there cannot get past Earth's atmosphere. It's just too cold, and I think the dark is what signifies as cold. Same here, look. Underneath the clouds, this is actually a good one. Underneath the clouds, it's warmer, it's hot, and at the top of the clouds, look, it's cold, showing how clouds trap heat, how shade traps heat. And you can clearly tell by the moon there, look, it's quite small. You can see where the direction of the sunlight is heating up the very front of the moon. Well, that's it for me for the moment. Probably one of the worst videos I put together. I do need to plan these a bit better, which is why I'm not doing Patreon, because I think it would be very unfair for me to take money from people, and I don't think I'll be able to put out videos as often as I'd like. You know, if I do that, I need to put videos out, you know, once or twice a week, regularly, of a fair size and of a much better quality. And if I had Patreon, I probably would like to show my face at one point, so I'll have to probably shave and get rid of this fucking crappy beard that I've got going on, so I look a little less homeless. Right, so yeah, that's my video done. The reason why I haven't been putting that many videos out, because there's so much stuff lately that's been going on with Flat Earth, and a lot of it's been talked to death already. There's not much I can say that hasn't already been debunked in some way, form or another, and even if I do, they're not willing to listen. I mean, at the moment, if any of my followers on YouTube are also on Twitter, just the sheer amount of bullcrap that's been going around. There's one called Sheeple Warrior or Sheeple Predator, and loads of other guys. I had a very, very religious one go back and forth with me, even though his only arguments were, well, the God's word is truth, and there we are, be damned anything else. Well, and that's why I really can't be asked to deal with much anymore. I'll try and put out a couple of interesting videos. Hopefully when I graduate and I get a bit of spare money, I hope to get myself a camera. probably a P900 or anything better maybe. You know, I'll get Flat Earth's magic truth detector camera. And that's what I honestly think Flat Earth is. It's a publicity stunt by Nikon. That's what it is. It's just dawned on me now. The Flat Earth is a publicity stunt by the Nikon to get Nikon to sell their cameras. Wow, okay. Another video for me to do. Right, but yeah. Sorry this video was a bit rubbish and the sound wasn't very good. But hey, I do what I can at the moment. So, hope to see you all soon. Back in. Goodbye.